Today we're here to announce the arrest of a suspect in a heinous sexual assault case that happened last Wednesday in Annandale. Speaking today will be our own Chief Davis. Here we have Chief Jake Jacoby of the Northern Virginia Community College Police Department, our own Captain Spatal of our Violent Crimes Division, and Director Fayez with our Victim Services Division. Chief.
Thanks, Katie. Good afternoon. You will hear today about two attacks on women, one in Fairfax County and one on the campus of the Northern Virginia Community College. Our victim is a 59-year-old woman, and the on-campus victim is a 20-year-old young woman. Our shared perpetrator is a monstrous 23-year-old man whose crime in Fairfax County is both abhorrent and inhumane. I often cringe at self-congratulatory police press conferences following a significant act of prevention, or, as in this case, a significant case closure that swiftly brings a predator like this one to justice. Today is not about our collaborative efforts. It's not about our local law enforcement partnerships, and not about the great police work and investigative work. Those are givens and things our community simply expects from us, and we routinely deliver. Today is about two sexual assault victims and a staunch reminder why it is still necessary to have a Sexual Assault Awareness Month, one that begins in just a few days and lasts throughout the month of April. In the meantime, Kevin Lopez Alton is off the streets and facing criminal charges that I trust will keep him behind bars for the rest of his life. Kevin.
Thank you, Chief. A man is in custody after two brutal and horrifying attacks on Northern Virginia women this past week. This past Wednesday, a man forced his way into an Annandale business. The suspect knocked on the door and was told that the business was closed, but he continued to knock. The business owner opened the door to explain that the business was closed, but the offender pushed his way inside and held the victim captive inside her own business for several hours. Throughout this nightmare, the suspect sexually assaulted the victim repeatedly and threatened to kill her if she didn't do exactly what he told her to do. The victim found a moment when the suspect's attention was diverted and bravely took that opportunity to escape. She ran to a nearby business and she asked for someone to call for help. Officers arrived on scene and they immediately contacted detectives from our sex crimes unit and our crime scene section to assist with the investigation. Detectives located an enormous amount of evidence to include fingerprints that our suspect left behind. Detectives worked nonstop for over 24 hours, just hoping to get a break in this case. While detectives were investigating, they learned that the Northern Virginia Community College Police Department was working a separate attack on a separate victim from Thursday night. This victim was a student. The case on campus involved a lone female who was sexually assaulted by a suspect, and she courageously fought him off. Detectives from both jurisdictions compared information and determined that they were looking for the same man. On Friday, an officer with the Northern Virginia Community College Police Department received information from detectives on the suspect to include unique tattoos that he had and unique mannerisms that he had. And the officer immediately identified a possible suspect from the tattoos and the specific mannerisms. As this information was being tracked down, investigators from our Navarre section of our Cyber and Forensics Bureau analyzed the fingerprints that were lifted at the scene, and they compared them directly to the prints of the suspect, and we determined that they were an exact match. This past Friday, detectives from both departments coordinated efforts on a manhunt for our suspect, Kevin Lopez Alton, 24 years of age, from Annandale. Lopez Alton is known to hang out in various shopping centers in Annandale, and after learning this, the FCPD saturated the Annandale area looking for Lopez Alton. A short time later, around 1:20 p.m. on Friday, An FCPD sergeant who was in the area located Lopez Altan in the Heritage Center shopping center, and he took him into custody. Lopez Altan has been charged by both agencies with a total of 12 violent felony offenses, to include numerous counts of rape, attempted rape, abduction, and strangulation. Lopez Altan is being held without bond at the Fairfax County Adult Detention Center. We are thankful for the hard work and dedication of our officers from both agencies, as well as the victim advocates who worked around the clock to ensure the safety of our community. Lastly, I want to recognize the bravery of the two victims whose courage to come forward undoubtedly prevented Lopez Altan from striking again. With that, we'll take any questions.
Were these victims chosen at random, according to your investigation so far, or did he know these women at all?
So we believe that these victims were chosen at random by Lopez Altan. We are still investigating any possible connection that he might have had, but all indication right now shows that it was random.
There are 12 charges. Are they associated with just these two cases, or are you thinking he's been involved in other cases?
So right now, these 12 charges are associated with the charges from Fairfax County Police Department and also from Northern Virginia Community College. But we're always asking to see if the community knows anything. If you know anything about Lopez Altan, we're asking you to please call us. And if you yourself are a victim, please call us so we can know more and we can help you.
Do you believe he might be connected to other cases, especially with this kind of history?
So at this point, we have no indication that there are other cases out there. But again, if there are any victims, we certainly need to hear from you.
Yeah, one on Wednesday, one on Thursday. How convinced are you he would have struck again if you hadn't caught him when you did?
Yeah, so we stopped any further attacks that he may have caused, but certainly he struck 2 days in a row, and we're confident that we prevented other potential victims.
You mentioned mannerisms. What do you mean by that? What were his mannerisms?
Yeah, so there are specific mannerisms that he possessed where when he was walking around, he had his fingers moving in a motion like this at all times, which certainly helped the Northern Virginia Community College police officer to identify him.
Is he a resident from Fairfax County?
He is. He's of Annandale.
Was the North Virginia Community College police officer familiar with him from being on campus, or was there some other interaction you had with this guy?
He was not familiar with him being on campus, but he was familiar with him from his previous job.
Previous job? you said?
Yes.
What was that?
He worked for the Sheriff's Department for Fairfax County.
Was that his position when he was arrested? Is he still in the sheriff's?
No.
The Fairfax County Sheriff's?
Fairfax County Sheriff's
The
Department.
officer worked for
The officer used to work for the Sheriff's Department.
Was he a deputy?
I believe he was.
So the officer who identified the mannerisms is currently a Northern Virginia Community College police officer. He had prior interactions with him while he was a Fairfax County sheriff deputy.
How long ago was that he had the prior interactions with him?
That
I'm
might.
not sure.
So do you know how long he was? So we can certainly get back to you. I'm not sure exactly how long he was a deputy versus how long he's been working for.
It sounds like this guy had a history with police. I mean, is that fair to say?
His criminal history, and you all can look up his criminal history. We don't provide that at press conferences anymore. But he was certainly known to law enforcement, but not extensively. So it can't go unnoted that the Northern Virginia Community College police officer, based on his remembrance of this perpetrator when he was employed as a deputy sheriff, was absolutely instrumental in breaking this case wide open. We believe he absolutely, positively would have struck again. We know that from the way he interacted with our detectives. We know that from his demeanor, his disposition. I would be shocked if there aren't other victims that he's left in his wake, and that's why we want to intentionally solicit any information about him from previous victims or people who know him in the community. These two acts were so brazen, so bold, so daring, that it would be hard for me to believe that he hasn't struck before.
The Fairfax County business incident, was there any other reason that turned him away aside from being closed? Was he acting inappropriately, was being aggressive?
Yeah, it was closed, and he made several efforts to get inside. They were thwarted by our victim the first couple of occasions, but then he successfully forced his way inside that business, and that's where he spent the next several hours attacking again and again and again our victim.
When we say several hours, how many hours?
Several, up to 8.
How is the victim doing? Anything?
She's traumatized. She's traumatized, but thankfully she's still here with us. She's very, very brave, like Captain Spital said, very brave woman to come forward, to take advantage of an opportunity to escape. But she was the victim of an attack that nobody should ever have to endure.
Was
Yeah.
she the owner of that shop, or did she?
We're not discussing her status. You know, we have a responsibility to protect her identity, so we're not talking about who she is or exactly where she works in an effort to do just that.
On that note, I realize you can't say what exactly the shop is. Is it a shop, is it in like a shopping center?
Yeah, it's at a business place. That's about as far as I can go. Again, the main message here is we took a monstrous predator off the street, and if you want to see pure evil, take a look at that picture of Kevin Lopez Alton. And again, our sketch artist, the best I've ever worked with, an uncanny resemblance in her sketch to our predator in this case.
Can anyone go into details on the 20-year-old, how she was able to get away? Was she a student, you said, at the college?
She was a student at the
Can you walk up
college.
to the mic, please? Thank you.
She was a student at the college.
And how was she able to get away and avoid this guy?
Well, at the time that it occurred, there was another student who was close by, who made himself available to assist her, and the subject ran off.
Was it night, was it dark, I assume?
It was in the evening. It was Thursday evening at 8:50 p.m. On the Annandale campus.
From the college perspective, is the police department doing anything else differently as a result of this incident?
Well, whenever something like this happens, we always review our protocols and procedures. We have extra patrols out around the campus. We work with our local partners in all our jurisdictions to keep the campuses safe.
And then as far as I know he frequented shopping centers in the Annandale area. No complaints at all from other people of any suspicious person going up? I mean, I guess it seems pretty a broad complaint. Has there anyone been concerned of someone looking similar to him before?
So to our knowledge and through our investigation, we have not uncovered any other reports about him. But again, if anybody has seen him and does want to contact the police department to report anything that they have seen with Lopez Alton, we certainly want to hear from them.
Since he was known to you prior, what do you think set him off or led him to do one and try to do another in 2 days?
Yeah, Matt, sometimes it's natural for us to explain evil behavior like this. We look for a reason. There is no reason beyond he is evil personified. He's brutal in his attacks on women. He's relentless in his attacks on women. And the fact that we were able to literally stop him from offending again and again and again is something that local law enforcement is tasked with, and we're proud that we were able to put him in handcuffs. But we can't begin to explain criminal misconduct like his, evil criminal misconduct. I wish I had an answer for you, but what he did was unspeakable.
Is it your understanding he was working alone in these attacks?
Yes. Anyone else?
Is the sheriff's department at all involved in this
No,
investigation?
no, I'm not sure why they would be, unless you have a follow-up to that. Yeah. Okay. And, you know, one of the reasons why we've asked Director Sally Fayez of our Victim Services Division to be here is because after these brazen acts of brutality, sheer brutality, we are about to go into a month of April where we pause and recognize the importance of law enforcement, detectives, patrol officers, and victims of sexual assault. So I'll ask Director Fayez to say a word on that, and if you don't have any further questions, we'll conclude.
Did he act alone or looking for another suspect?
Now, this is a sole person that we have captured. We do not believe he was acting in concert with anyone. He did this by himself to two women, one in Fairfax County and one on the campus of the Northern Virginia Community College. We have zero reason to believe he acted with anyone. But again, and this is probably the fourth time we've messaged this request to our greater community, if anyone has any information about him harming other women or involved in any other crimes, please come forward and help us continue to hold him accountable for his crimes. So.
Thank you. As the chief mentioned, April is the start of Sexual Assault Awareness Month. To the victims that are out there that we are working with, as the chief said, we are proud of you. You are courageous, you are brave, and it's important to understand that this doesn't end today. The police department's going to stand by you, and the advocates are going to stand by you, the detectives are going to stand by you. And so we recognize that you are watching, and we're with you.
Thank you all.